Welcome to Traveling Oracle, the magical podcast, where we talk energetics, spirituality, and how you can use this etheric knowledge to drastically change, transform, and up-level all areas of your life. Are you ready for the glow up? Let's go. Hello, my loves. Really quickly, I wanted to interject for Awakened that I'm doing a special for those of you who listen to my podcast. Awakened's price is always $888, but for those of you who listen, I would like to give Awakened to you for $555. $555 for those of you who listen to this podcast and just show me proof that you've rated and reviewed the podcast. I'll give you a coupon, and $555 is your price for Awakened. Awakened is one of those programs that will be the opening for your spiritual awakening. And here's the thing about spiritual awakenings. They happen in waves. You're never really done. You have your first wave of spiritual awakening, you have your second, and you have your third. Awakened is a program that will help you at any level of your spiritual awakening because it balances the three aspects of your being. It helps you to connect and balance with your mind, your body, and your spirit. It helps to grow and powerfully connect to your spiritual gifts. It helps you to balance and hone your personal development. It helps all aspects of your life, and it is a program that will change and revolutionize your life for your good and for progress. And not just any progress, not just moving forward in life in any direction, but moving forward powerfully in the direction of your mission in life, what you're brought here to do, what you're brought here to be extremely successful at. The thing in this world that will not only powerfully impact everyone else, but will help to bring a life of ease into your life, will help to bring you financial success, help you to have the life that you're meant to have in this world. Check the show notes to the link to Awakened, and here's the episode. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the magical podcast. It is a beautiful day to change lives as per usual, and I am sitting in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea right now on the MSC Grandiosa, a beautiful ship. I think it's a luxury ship. I don't really know. My friend planned the trip and I just sent the money. I mean, God bless friends like that. I didn't do anything. I just was like, yeah, I'm down for it. Just plan and let me know. So here I am sitting in the middle of the Mediterranean. We went to Palermo and Malta, and now we're on our way to, I think, Barcelona. I think Barcelona, and there's another island or another country, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm sitting in my cabin and we have a balcony, so I'm overlooking, just looking over at the ocean, at the sky, and it's so nice. It's so peaceful. It's so just relaxing. And of course, we've been having way too much fun at nights with the shows and the free-flowing cocktails and the specialty dining. It's been really, 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 really good. But also having fun. Like, I realized as I got older, when you step into adulthood, having fun is also work. It's been so much work trying to keep up with the excursions when you reach the different ports, and then coming back and getting ready to look cute for dining, and then getting ready to go to the show and ready to go to this party. It's like so much work to have fun. And I'm like, damn, I miss being a child. Where you didn't have to worry about anything at all. But such is life. So today's episode, I thought we'd do something really easy and fun today. And I decided we're going to do spooky tales from Bali. I don't know what I'm going to title this episode, but it's going to be something around that area. Spooky tales from Bali, because so many things happen to me in Bali. It's crazy. Bali is definitely a energy vortex center. Like, there is something happening on that island that is not natural. Now, I know there are a few different places around the world that have that type of energy. And it's weird because there are these places that have this energy vortex, and almost like where the veil is thin in this geographical location. And also in those places, you have tons and tons of people who are being pulled to the spiritual, being pulled to that place. Because when I was in Bali, it was people from all over the earth who were being drawn to that place. People who are in the spiritual realm, people who maybe weren't too much into it, but knew that something was calling them there. So they started their spiritual awakening there. They started their journey to freedom there. When I went to Bali, I met so many people just like me. People who hear the call in the spiritual, people who can feel energy, people who can feel the pull of the spirit world is the best way to put it. And the other energy centers, just based on that knowledge that I can tell around the world, not even having been there, is there's definitely something in Mexico. Definitely something in Mexico. Definitely something in Costa Rica. Like those two I know for sure. I'm sure there are other ones. You know where else always pulls me? Egypt. And I don't know if that's a me thing, but anytime I see pictures of the pyramids, I feel an energetic pull and I almost hear like a song playing in the background. So there is something there pulling me, but I don't know if it's personal or if it's like a vortex as well. But Bali, my friends, Bali, the veil is super thin in Bali, super thin. So in broad daylight, random things will be happening to you, much less in night when the veil is thinner. Oh, so let's start. So my first week in Bali was just normal. And I realized looking back that Bali does this thing where it's like it searches your energy for the first 2 weeks, and then it's like searching you and like calibrating, and then it figures out exactly what it needs to do to help progress you in life, to help progress you spiritually, to help progress you in your personal development. And then bam, things after things after things are thrown at you. And so if you spend a month in Bali, it's like you spent a year. Like the things that would happen to you in a year in regular life to help to grow you and to help to give you experiences, Bali throws them at you just like boom, 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 boom in a week, boom, 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 boom in a month. And so I find that, and I'm not the only one because I've spoken to many different people, you progress so quickly when you are in the geographical location of these energy vortexes or energy vortices. And so that's one thing I love about Bali. So the first thing I noticed when I landed was I felt this really strong, really old, ancient energy like sleeping underneath Bali. It's the weirdest feeling because it's the first time I've ever felt the energy of a place so strongly. I don't mean the mood, like, oh, this seems like a fun place, or oh, this seems like a quiet place. I mean, I could feel a powerful energy under the earth of that island. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that's about, but I was able to feel that palpably. And even when I did meditations there where I connect to the earth, I realized I was connecting through that specific energy in Bali when I was there. And that energy has a different feeling or a different texture than connecting to the earth in other places. And I don't know if it's because the Balinese people, their culture is they get up every morning and they give offerings. They give offerings in the morning, they give offerings in the afternoon, they give offerings in the evening. They give offerings to their altars for their gods. They give offerings to the earth. They give offerings to nature. And if you have kept up that practice for thousands of years of daily offerings at different times of the day, the energy in that space is bound to be different. And this is why ancient ground is holy ground, because it's a space where people have been channeling energy and putting in energy and moving energy for centuries. Once you have energy like that moving through the ground, that place holds a specific energy that's bound to run through you and heal you if you're sick, and heal you if your mind is sick, and heal your body and help to show you the path. Because it's almost as if just being in the space of Bali is healing and progressing and transformational. And that's why it's super important to really think about the places that you want to live and how those places can help you progress in life, or might hold you back, might aid you in achieving your goals, or might prevent you from achieving your goals. Like, these things are really important. Your environment is really important to hindering or pushing you forward. So it's so funny. I haven't even gotten into the story. So that was the first thing I noticed, this ancient energy. Now, after the 2 weeks of silence and just everything was fine, then everything started to speed up. And The first thing that I noticed was, so I am not a person who sees spirits or sees any other spiritual beings with my physical eyes. I am a person who feels them strongly. Like I can feel a shift in my immediate surroundings when a spiritual being comes in. I can feel strongly when things are around me, right? So the first thing that happened to me was I noticed that my dreams were getting hyper realistic and they were getting a little strange. Like the first dream that I had was I was laying down and I kind of like started to fall asleep and a scene started to unveil before me, and I saw like this dirt road like with marl on it, this marl dirt road, and a van with an open back was driving, and someone was driving the van. I couldn't see who was driving the van. Some people were in the back of the open van, but what stuck with me is on the passenger side was this little African boy with a big round head. He was so cute. And he was staring straight at me in this dream. This little African boy hanging his head out of the van and just staring straight at me in my eyes. And I was like, why is he staring at me? And that kind of creeps me out. And it like, I guess the feeling of being creeped out like shook me awake. And I don't know, I felt this weird feeling over my whole body. And it's like, why was like, because you dream and you interact with people when you dream, but he had this intense stare, like he was staring through my soul. And I was like, that's so creepy. And when I woke up, I felt the energy of something being in the room. I knew something was in that room with me. I didn't know what. And this was the beginning of my spiritual journey as well. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I was just like, what? So eventually I started to fall asleep again because it was like late at night. And I was creeped out by the feeling of something being in the room with me. So I kept trying to open my eyes even though I was falling asleep. And I think it was that act of trying to keep myself awake while falling asleep that led to the next part. So falling asleep. And then I opened my eyes again, because obviously I was trying to keep myself awake or trying to keep looking around if I saw anything. And when I opened my eyes, the texture of reality looks a little strange. Like the light, because the room light was on, but the light looked a little off. Like if it was a yellow light, it was like a off yellow, like a beigey yellow. Like it's just a weird tint. I was like, why does the light look so strange? And it's like, you know what it reminded me of? If you've watched Stranger Things, when they go into the upside down, like when it had those little snowflake looking things in the air when you go into the upside down, that's what it reminded me of. Like there was these little particle looking things in the air and the texture just looks a little different. The lighting looked a little different. I was like, that's strange, but it was my room and it was the perspective of me laying on my back, and when I open my eyes I'm seeing my room like normal. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a little weird, but whatever. I'm sleepy, maybe that's all it is. And so I felt a little tickle on my nose and I was like, oh, I want to like scratch my nose. So I lift up my hand to bring my hand to my face to scratch my nose. And when I looked, I was like, what the hell is happening? My hand, even though I lifted it up to scratch my nose, my hand was still on the bed, and the outline of my hand was what was lifting up to go towards my nose. So I was seeing the outline of my hand in front of my face, and my physical hand was on the bed. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And so I looked at my other hand and I lifted it, and the outline, like an energetic outline of my other hand lifted, and my physical hand was on the bed. So I'm looking at these two outlines of my hands in front of my face, and I'm like, oh crap, I think I can like astral project now. I'm like, I think I can actually get out of my body. Because before I used to have that sleep paralysis thing where it feels like I can get out of my body, but I was so afraid. But it was weird because I guess it wasn't quite right yet. But in this moment, it was perfectly right. I think I reached the perfect state where I was consciously able to step out of my body. But I was so afraid because this was early on in my spiritual journey, and I think my third eye was opening up a lot faster than I was prepared for. So I was racked in fear. I was afraid of what I was gonna see. I was projecting the things that Hollywood taught me about how the spirit world looks and what spirits will appear to you like. I was projecting that, so I was thinking all these horror thoughts in my mind, like I'm going to see some scary thing come out of the mirror or some creepy thing in the corner of the room. And so I was filled with fear. And so in that moment when I realized I could step out of my body, a huge like wave of fear came over me, and I was like, no, I was like, stop. I can't remember if I said stop or end, but I said something like that. That's like stop, end, close, or something like that. And it is like it snapped me out of it, and I opened my eyes again, or I blinked. That's what it was. I blinked and I was back in normal reality. So that was my first experience, like a real experience with the possibility of astral projecting. And it was interesting because that happened to me a second time in Bali. I'm just going to go straight to that second time. So the first time it was in Canggu, which is like a really like expat area, lots of people from different countries and stuff. It's spiritual and the energy is good, but there's this other place in Bali called Ubud where it's like the spiritual center. Like it's in the forest. It's like you're immersed in nature. The energy there is powerful. When I was in the taxi driving from Canggu to Ubud, right as I reached to the middle of between Canggu and Ubud, I felt the energy shifting. It's like this purification energy going straight through your body. Even one time I was sitting at this restaurant in Ubud and I was sitting there typing away on my laptop, and all of a sudden I felt, it's like the restaurant, I felt a wave of peace, like peaceful energy descend on the restaurant while I'm just in there typing. And I felt this energy flow through my body, and the energy was the energy of love. It was just love, forgiveness, love, forgiveness, like everything is gonna be all right. I felt it palpably. That was such an interesting experience. But yeah, so I rented a villa in Ubud by myself, and that was kind of a mistake because even though it's super spiritual, the veil is extremely thin. And again, I was filled with fear. Like I was excited about what was happening for me and what was happening with me and all these abilities I was developing and how strong my feelings for spirituality were getting. But I was also just equally just scared. And so I was alone in this villa, creepy. The veil was thin. I could feel the energies around me. And it happened again. I fell asleep and opened my eyes, and I was like in another realm. I was in my room, and again, it looks like the upside down in Stranger Things. And I lifted up my hand, and the outline came up. I lifted up my other hand, and the other outline of my hand came up, and I was like, okay, Akil, you can do this. You can step out of your body. And I started to try, and I felt this negative energy to the right of me. And now that I have progressed a bit more in my spiritual development, I don't think there was a negative energy beside me. I think I was projecting all the fears of what I've been told, all the fears of all the shows I've watched, all the fears that I had about this sort of thing. And that was the culmination of that energy that I was feeling beside me. And so I again stopped. I freaked out and I was like, stop, no, like close or something like that. And I blinked and I was back into normal reality. So if you're someone who's into like astral projection and those types of things, going to a energy center is going to help to progress you really well, because you don't have to work as hard to get in the certain states that you need to be in to be able to step out of your body. That was a crazy experience. And so I'm going back to Bali in January. I want to be a bit more intentional about exploring astral projection, because it seems to be something that comes naturally to me, because I know my dream world is very much linked to reality. Even from I was a child, I used to have very strong, very vivid dreams where it doesn't feel like they're dreams at all. There are some dreams where you wake up and you're like, yeah, that was just your mind doing things. There's some dreams that have a texture of reality to them that's crazy, and that I don't think that one was just a dream. That one was like something else. So I've always had that kind of link to my dreams. And so being in a space where energy flows so freely, like Bali, it's like astral projection was coming to me with like no issues at all. So that was 2 stories of creepy things that happened to me in Bali. But the creepiest is yet to come. So, as I said before, I feel energy strongly, but I was never able to see things with my physical eyes in the way that some people can see spirits. Like, oh, there's a spirit over there, or oh, I can see this thing appear to me. Like, I never am able to see with my physical eyes until I went to Bali. And I started to see energy very clearly. Like in my room in Bali, even the edges of like the wall, I started to see double. Like I started to see the physical wall, but I saw the energetic outline of the wall, like an inch away from the physical wall. I started to see the energetic outlines of things very easily. Now, I read tarot and I read energy, right? And so what I realize is when I touch tarot cards and I try to connect with someone's energy to read the cards and get messages for them, I can see the layer of reality under physical reality. It's like this little space where energy flows underneath the physicality of everything. What I realized is I was starting to see that little energetic space underneath reality just in regular life without trying to connect to someone's energy or without trying to read tarot cards. Seeing energy was starting to develop for me as plainly as seeing physical reality. So I started to see the energetic outlines of things. I also started to see little orbs appearing everywhere. At first, it started just at the corners of my eye. I would see something dart across the room and I look and there's nothing there. I would see like a orb just appear, like a dark orb just appear and just disappear. But it was always at the corners of my eyes where I could dismiss it as, Akil, you're just seeing things or nothing is there. But then it started to happen right in front of my eyes. Like I was just looking at the ceiling and then this orb just appeared small and then it got brighter and bigger and then it disappeared. And I was like, okay, Akil, that was right in front of your face. Like you cannot deny that you just saw this orb. So I was starting to see things slowly but surely. Another thing that started to happen for me is, this happened twice, I would wake up, not I would wake up, I would be woken up by a voice whispering in my ears. I am sleeping and I was woken up by this and it was a creepy voice literally in my ear, like someone's lip is right by my ear speaking, and what I heard was I just creepy and low like that, and it shook me out of my sleep. Like that voice was what woke me up. That's how I knew that I wasn't dreaming, because I thought to myself, was I dreaming and I woke up out of the dream? But I was like, no, Akil, you were woken up by the whisper. The voice is the thing that woke you up. So that actually happened, and I could feel the tingling in my ear, like when you hear something loud. I was like, I am the only one in this room. What is whispering my name in my ear? And then it happened a second time. What did it say the second time? Oh yeah, this one I still don't even know what that was about. The voice whispered in my ear this time I woke up and then I heard the voice whisper in my ear. And it whispered husband. I don't know what that's about. I am chronically single right now, okay? And I was chronically single at that time, but it whispered husband in my ear. And I was like, hello? I was like, who is this husband? Do you speak? So that's the second thing. I hear people say that when you're becoming clairaudient, that those things start to happen to you. But that was one of the creepy things that, up to this day, I don't really know what that was about, but that started happening. The other thing that started happening for me is, and I didn't realize in the moment, it was only after leaving Bali I realized what was happening. I started to dream about, so Bali is in Asia, right? So the native people are Asian people. I started to dream about Asian people. As in, they say that when you dream, you don't normally see faces of people you don't know. Like you'll dream about your mom, your brother, your friends, people whose faces you're familiar with, but you don't normally dream and see the faces of strangers because your mind cannot just make up faces. It can pull memories of faces, but it cannot create faces. I started to dream heavily, not just about random people, because it's one thing to dream about your own people, but I was dreaming about Asian people. I have no Asian family. I didn't have any Asian friends before coming to Bali. Like, it was just random people. One time I started to dream about this. I can see clearly this short Asian man, and he was in an Elvis Presley outfit and he was singing, and this other Asian woman started to come up. Just lots of dreams about strangers, Asian strangers. And I could see their faces clearly. And what I realized was I was starting to be able to see spirits. I was starting to see the spirits that are around me, because where my room was in Bali, my room always ended up right beside their altar for the spirits, because they have specific altars in Bali. They have the altar, like every building has an altar outside. Every building has a shrine outside. They have one to the gods, one to something else, and one to the spirits. And my room was right beside the one to the spirits. And let me tell you something about Bali. Spirits are all over Bali. Again, this is traditional ground. This is ground where people have been. These are grounds where people have been for centuries, where they've buried their dead for centuries. This is their ancestral home. And as a result, the spirits are all around Bali. They're all around Bali. And I started to see them when I closed my eyes and when I started to drift off to sleep. So much so that here comes the creepiest story, and the story I will end with for Bali. One day, I saw this girl advertising this villa. So it's a 2-bedroom villa. She was looking for a housemate to occupy the second room downstairs. It was a really nice villa. It has a pool, really spacious and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me come check it out. The home was nice. And right beside the pool, like it's fenced off. And then there's this wide open like rice field and stuff. And on the other side of the rice field and the trees is one huge temple. Huge temple. You couldn't see in the temple from my place, but we knew that it was there. Cool. Day 1, day 2, day 3, all good. Day 4, my friends, something shifted in the air. Something shifted in the air dramatically. It was around 9 p.m. at night. I'm in my bed relaxing, and I heard bells ringing. Now, traditional Balinese homes, they all have temples in their backyard. And so they will do little ceremonies where they ring bells and they bring food for their ancestors, and they do all different ceremonies and things in their backyard. Now, the Balinese home next to us, we share a wall. Our living room wall is shared between our living room and their temple on the other side, where they do their offerings and have their little family ceremonies. So I'm in my room relaxing. I heard like little bells ringing, but they're always doing different things. I was like, okay, cool. They must be having some ceremony. Anyway, went on with my life, fell asleep. Holy crap. I was woken up by something shaking my door, like boof, not just like hitting the door, because it's one thing for something to hit the door, it could be anything. Something was like shaking my door, like bracing against the door, almost like trying to get in. And I was like, so I woke up and I looked around, and then it stopped, and I was like, but maybe that didn't happen, because I was definitely sleeping at that time. I was like, maybe that didn't happen. Maybe that's just a figment of my imagination. I was sleeping. Maybe it was a very vivid dream. But I was kind of creeped out. So I put on like The Simpsons and started watching a show. Half an hour into that show, it happened again. Like knocking on the door, like boom, and shaking and rattling the door, and like shaking the door, trying to come in. I was like, I'm definitely awake, and that definitely just happened. What is going on? And I felt the presence of many spiritual beings around me, many like energies. I shouldn't say spiritual beings, many energies around me, like lots of them. And I was like, what is happening? This is so creepy. What's going on? And that just happened throughout the whole night. It happened maybe like 4 or 5 more times. And I didn't go to sleep. I was like, I'm waiting until the sun comes up and then I'm going to go to sleep. So that was my night. Spiritual, just energies all around me, things rattling, things shaking. I was like, I don't know what to do. Finally, the sun came up and I went to bed. When I got up midday, I said to the girl, I was like, I had the weirdest experience last night. Like, I told her what was going on. Things were shaking. I felt energies around me. And she's like, oh my God, are you a medium? I was like, I don't think so. She said, 3 girls before you, like, yeah, 3 girls before you. She had a housemate who was a medium, and she said she moved out after the second night because she said spirits were tapping on the windows and she couldn't sleep because there's so many spirits around. And that sent chills through me. I was like, well, girl, she is right. There are energies around here, and they're not just simply existing. They want to like speak and interact with you. And I'm like, it creeps me out. I don't know if I can do this. And so the housekeeper heard. So the housekeeper, how it really normally works in Bali, the people who like cleans the villas and stuff for the tourists, or normally whatever families are around. So it was somebody from the family next door heard us talking. He said, you heard the spirits? I was like, yes. I told him what happened. And he was like, oh my gosh, no, they're upset. He said, last night, his family in their temple right beside our living room, they had a ceremony for their ancestors, for their dead family members. And he said, if they were there, like fooling around with you, they're upset about something. And he was like, I'm going to call the priest to come and purify the place and whatever and whatever. And I was like, that's crazy that all of this happened right as they were basically having a ceremony to contact their ancestors and to honor their ancestors. So I was like, whoa, Akil, your gifts are really, really heightening. So this priest came the next day. I made sure that I was there because I wanted to be there when he did his thing. He came and he set up in the yard, and all of the family members came too and sat down, and they were ringing their bells and singing their songs. So I was watching from the living room. So they did that for about half an hour. Then all of a sudden I saw everyone turn around and look at me, and I was like, what's happening? Why is everyone looking at me? And then they called me over. And this, I realized looking back, this is what I was in Bali for. This type of confirmation about my gifts, because over in the Western world, I was feeling crazy. I was like, I'm hearing things. I'm getting messages. I'm feeling things that I'm told are not real, and that I'm crazy if I feel like this or I hear these things. And so I realized I was in Bali seeking some sort of validation or confirmation that the things that I think are happening are really happening. And this moment gave it to me. Now, this man doesn't even speak English. He had to have someone translate for me. They called me over and he said to me, you're the one who the spirits interacted with. I said, yes. He said, look, you have gifts. I can tell. He said, as soon as I saw you sit down, I saw all the gifts you have. He said, you are placed in between God and man, and you are given messages from God to man. You are given messages from the other side to people here. He said, you are highly gifted. He said, you have the ability to heal. He said, your ancestral line has healers in it. From way centuries ago up until now, you are spiritually gifted through your ancestry. I was like, oh my gosh. Then he told me about all the things that happen. He's like, you can look at someone and get messages. He said, you can read people's energy. He said, you have so much abundant gifts, and there are just a few things you need to do in your life daily for these gifts to be heightened and for you to be able to use these gifts. And then he told me, he's like, the spirits are interacting with you because they see a light in your body. He's like, not only that, you're very kind to the local people. You interact with the local people. You're happy. You're energetic. They just like you and they want to interact with you. You have a light. And he said you attract energy. And so it's important for you to daily clear out your energy, because you attract energy, good and bad, especially negative energy, because you are supposed to be able to transmute that energy, change that negative energy that comes to you into positive energy. He said there are many people in the world whose job it is to transmute energy, and you are definitely one of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, this man, I'm not giving him any money. I'm not buying a service for him. He doesn't speak English to know anything about me, much less to go on social media to see anything about me. He speaks a completely different language. He's never seen me before. And for him to look at me and just say all these things and validate everything that I know, I was like, I needed this. And so he held my hand while we did a meditation. And afterwards, he's like, I've never felt anyone who has as much energy flowing through their body as you. He's like, I have a school that helps gifted people develop their gifts. And I have taught many people. I have connected to many people. But your energy is one of the strongest I've ever felt. I was like, that's so nice. That's so nice. That's so nice. It's like, I felt like, okay, Akil, okay, you're not crazy. You do have the ability to do these things. You can. Like, and sometimes we just need that. Sometimes we need someone else to see us. Sometimes we need someone else to help us remember and understand our value. And that's okay. It becomes a problem when that's all you need all the time. But one or two times, a few times here and there, we just need someone to help. And I was so appreciative of that help in that moment. So he cleansed the house. Everything felt a little calmer. But he also told us that the temple that's near to us is a huge temple where they do a lot of ancestral work. And he said there are tons of spirits around. And they're just coming out through the open rice field and flowing into our property. And that's why I feel so many energies around. I eventually ended up moving just because I couldn't handle so many energies around while I was going through my spiritual awakening. It was keeping me more in fear and hindering the process. And so I just ended up having to move. I literally went back to my room and I said out loud, I said, spirit guides, please help me. I cannot stay here. I cannot stay in this energy. Please help me to find the perfect place for me in this moment. And I just left it there. And 2 days later, I went to lunch with a friend at a restaurant, and it's so funny. We were supposed to go to another restaurant at first, but I went to the wrong place. She ended up being at the right place, but I was far away at the wrong place. And I said, you know what? We're going to call it quits. But I said, I still need to eat. How about we look for something nearby my place? And she looked for a restaurant and found it. And then I went to that restaurant. Just by accident, we ended up there. After we finished eating and we went back downstairs, I realized it was such a beautiful place. So I asked someone, I was like, what is it down here? And she said, oh, it's a B&B. Like, we have rooms available for rent. I said, oh, let me check it out. And as I walked into that space, y'all, the energy of that space was so clean. The energy was so positive. The energy was so clear. I was like, ooh, the energy here is just delicious. And she showed me a room, and the room she showed me was room 111. I said, say no more, spirit guides. Say no more. You sent me an angel number to show me exactly where I need to be. I rented the room for the month that minute. And that's where I spent the next 4 months, or the last 4 months of my journey in Bali. And it was the perfect space for me. The perfect space for me. And I think that message is coming out because some of you, you're trying to figure out where you fit in the world. You're trying to make big decisions, and you need to communicate with your spirit guides and ask for help. Because here's the thing. The reason some of us are confused about different decisions is because we can only see a limited amount of space from where we stand. But the spiritual beings that are with us for our good and that are guiding us, they're able to see from a higher plane, which means they're able to see further along in the decisions you make than you can standing where you are. And so when you ask for help from these spiritual beings, they're able to give you better guidance than you can give for yourself, because they're able to see further along in the future. They're able to see further along in the repercussions of each of the decisions that you have the ability to make. And so I'm imploring you to really connect with your spiritual guides. And all it takes is to say, spiritual beings that are here for my good, I need some help with this decision. I need some guidance. Just ask and it will be revealed to you. You might not hear something telling you right after you finish speaking, but next day you might see an advertisement that will solve your problem. The next day somebody might come up to you with a solution randomly in conversation. It will come to you in different ways. Just ask and be open to receive. And I think that's where I am going to wrap this episode up with creepy stories from Bali. Just remembered another story, but I think I'm going to save that for an episode. It was a story about a really, really, really weird dream, but we're going to talk about that in another episode. I'm going to talk about the dream I had that translated into physical reality. I'm also going to talk about an energy clearing I had with a priestess and I don't remember what she called it, some sort of reading that was really interesting for me, as well as my experience with shamanic breathwork in Bali. But we are at 37 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up now. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please don't forget to rate this podcast because it helps to push me up in the rankings. And I love you all, and I will see you in the next episode.